Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever Kicking It Classic with JCD Year Wnd Awards for the year that was 2020. As always, I am your host, John JCD Dimicelli. You can follow me on Twitter at JCDSINY1219. You could follow the show on Twitter at KITCWJCD. And you could follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Kicking It Classic with JCD. And if you want, you can even email the show, kickingitclassicwithjcd@yahoo.com. So, after our first two seasons, and we're coming back shortly with our third season, we have decided to do the first ever Kicking It Classic with JCD Year Wnd Awards, and here we go. Kicking off our first award for the show will be the award that might be one of the more hotly contested awards of the year, and one that might have the most conversation and debate around it. That award is for Tag Team of the Year. So much has been made about tag team wrestling in recent years. Who's great at it? Who's not that great at it? Who might be having a comeback in 2021 with it? But here we go. The nominees for Tag Team of the Year are the North, Josh Alexander and Ethan Page, multi-time Impact Tag Team Champions. The Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole. Kicking It Classic with JCD, don't you dare be sour. Clap for your multi-time tag team champs and feel the power. Of course, I'm talking about the New Day. They may be elite, elite, but they also be nominees. And the final nominees, bring those red solo cups. I'm talking about Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, the reigning SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. And after further review, the Kicking It Classic with JCD Tag Team of the Year is... Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, the Street Profits, who since March of 2020 were the Raw Tag Team Champions, never losing the titles after defeating Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy for them on Raw. They would defend them across the board until they were drafted till SmackDown. And the only reason why they're still not Raw Tag Team Champions is because they did an unofficial trade-off with the New Day to switch the titles to the proper show for each team. So congratulations to the Street Profits for being the Kicking It Classic with JCD Tag Team of the Year. Our next category is more of a disappointing one in the sense that it is the category of letdown or bust of the year. And in this category, we were looking at people that, or situations that should have been really positive and really brought things to another level. And unfortunately, due to, in some cases, just bad circumstances with the way 2020 went, amongst other things, they, instead of reaching the highest of highs, they went with the lowest of lows. And with that, the nominees for Bust of the Year are Miro in AEW, the For the Culture show and COVID outbreak. And for those of you who don't understand what this is, back in, I want to say October, could have been late September, there was an indie show in Indiana that a bunch of talents put together called For the Culture. Faye Jackson was a big part of it. Joey Janela was a big part of it. There were several AEW talents involved. Orange Cassidy showed up. Moxley, I believe, made an appearance there. And while it was great to have a show in front of fans, in a state like Indiana that, from a news perspective, wasn't exactly a COVID hotbed, you would think, okay, this can't be a bad thing. Well, unfortunately, it was just that. Multiple cases, Basically, it was a mini outbreak. It actually was the show that Joey Janela was on that caused him to get pulled last minute from that match with Kenny Omega on Dynamite that Sonny Kiss replaced Janela on. And everybody complained about Sonny Kiss getting destroyed by Omega when in reality that was going to happen to Janela anyway. Shayna Baszler challenging Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title. Rhea Ripley and Marty Scurll. And the unfortunate winner of Bust of the Year is... You may sing that you're the best man, but for now, you are the bust man. I'm sorry, but debuting as Kip Sabian's best man and feuding over video games and even getting involved in a feud that he's going to lose with Orange Cassidy, that's not, oh my God, I can't wait till Rusev could show everybody what he could do elsewhere. You're a bust, my friend. Sorry to say, deal with it. Don't worry, Miro. Not every talent this year that moved from one company to another was a complete bust. There were several moves that were made this year, and they had great success with them. And with that, here are the nominees for Move of the Year. Deonna Purrazzo to Impact. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson also to Impact. Karrion Kross and Scarlett to NXT. FTR to AEW, and Brody Lee to AEW. Now, I just want to say, I originally recorded this episode way before Brody's passing this past weekend. However, I felt the need, before the news broke, that I was going to re-record the show, and I just want to say that the loss of Brody Lee is monumental. It's sad. It's tragic. He was a great talent. From what you see, he was a great person. And as something I can relate to personally, he was an amazing father. Brody Lee, rest in peace. Our condolences to you and your family. And may God have mercy on your soul, my friend. With that said, however, the winner of Move of the Year is... the virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo, two-time Impact Women's Champion. From the moment she got there, she dominated. After being released from WWE NXT in April, she signed with Impact and has dominated the women's division ever since, and there's no reason to think she will be slowing down in 2021. While 2020 saw a lot of messed up things, obviously, one thing 2020 did see was some amazing comebacks in the world of pro wrestling. And with that, here are the nominees for Comeback of the Year. MVP, Ember Moon, Taz, Sting, and Edge. And with that, the winner of the 2020 Kicking It Classic with JCD Comeback of the Year is... pretty obvious, right? Maybe not. That's right, folks. MVP is your winner. And you could tell me all you want about Sting showing up and doing the same interview with Tony Schiavone for 3 or 4 straight weeks already. Sure, Ember Moon is kicking ass in NXT. Taz has done a great job as the leader of Team Taz in AEW. and even Edge with the surprise comeback of all time. Okay? But no one has done more in the calendar year since returning at the Royal Rumble and originally just coming back for a one-off and a couple of appearances on Raw to now leading the Hurt Business, and in the process has picked up completely where he left off and has also made Bobby Lashley the monster we've all been waiting for him to be. He's made Cedric Alexander a star. He's made Shelton Benjamin the Shelton Benjamin we knew from 2004, 2005. This award was always a no-brainer to me, and it should be a no-brainer to everybody else. When you look at it and you get past the names, the hands down comeback of the year is, without a doubt, MVP. While 2020 indeed had some amazing comebacks, it also had some new stars to show on the scene, and some of which came from zero in-ring experience to become major players in short periods of time in 2020. And with that said, here are the nominees for Newcomer of the Year in 2020. Wardlow, Leon Ruff, Dominic Mysterio, Kicking It Classic with JCD, Cheap Pop, and Pat McAfee. And the winner for Newcomer of 2020 is... Despite his disappearing act with his family for the last month, Dominic Mysterio is your Newcomer of the Year in 2020. His matches with Seth Rollins and even Buddy Murphy were just fantastic. And if he keeps down the path he's on, Dominic is going to be a major player for years to come. Moving on to another category that could be just as tightly contested as Tag Team of the Year, it is the Kicking It Classic with JCD Woman of the Year Award. And the nominees are Shida, Bayley, Io Shirai, Sasha Banks, and Asuka. And with that said, the winner is... That's right, the star of The Mandalorian, the holder of every single title except the NXT Women's title in 2020. I'm talking about the current SmackDown Women's Champion, the boss, Sasha Banks. While there were a ton of great regular traditional matches and gimmick matches in 2020, one thing that became a popular use, especially due to the ongoing pandemic, was the use of cinematic matches. These were matches that would be filmed at separate locations, filmed prior to an event. This way, there was a lot of editing involved and could let these matches and do so many different things that couldn't be done in a normal wrestling ring. And with that, here are the nominees for Cinematic Match of the Year. The Boneyard Match, the Stadium Stampede Match, the Firefly Funhouse Inferno Match, Moose vs. EC3, and the Firefly Funhouse at WrestleMania. And with that said, the winner for Cinematic Match of the Year is... the Boneyard Match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles at WrestleMania, which would also serve as The Undertaker's final farewell, the Boneyard match, your cinematic match of the year winner. So obviously with some great cinematic matches means there had to be some great matches for the year 2020. And there definitely were. And with that said, here is the top 20 matches of the year from Kicking It Classic with JCD. Here we go. Number 20, Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks. Keith Lee versus Donovan Dijak from TakeOver Portland. Kyle O'Reilly versus Pete Dunne from NXT TV. AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, the SmackDown Intercontinental Championship Finals. Brody Lee versus Cody Rhodes in the Dog Collar match on Dynamite. Imperium versus Undisputed Era at War of the Worlds. Sasha Banks versus Io Shirai at the Great American Bash. Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega at Winter is Coming. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre at Survivor Series. The Women's War Games match from NXT TakeOver. From Dynamite, Butcher and the Blade and the Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks and FTR. At number 9, Pat McAfee versus Adam Cole, baby, NXT TakeOver. The Men's War Game match comes in at number 8. Number 7, Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus FTR for the AEW Tag Team titles. The Intercontinental Championship ladder match. The North American Championship ladder match at NXT TakeOver. Walter versus Izzy Dajovic on NXT UK TV. Number 3, the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Adam Page for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Your runner-up for match of the year is Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae, the ladder match from NXT Halloween Havoc. And your winner for the 2020 match of the year. That's right, the 30-man men's Royal Rumble match for 2020 is the Kicking It Classic with JCD match of the year between Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar's dominance, and the return of Edge. The match is just simply fantastic, told a great story from top to bottom, and yes, I'm running the video as it continues to go, and I am perfectly okay with that. I don't care. We're running with it. This is the match of the year. While there were some great moments in 2020, despite everything that went on, there is still one thing that stood out no matter what the year was, and that is who was the most dastardly character in all of pro wrestling this year. And with that, here are the nominees for Kicking It Classic with JCD's Heel of the Year. Kenny Omega, Randy Orton, COVID-19, Roman Reigns, and Bayley. And the winner of the Kicking It Classic with JCD Heel of the Year is... without a doubt, COVID-19, the heel of the year, not just in pro wrestling, but in all of life. When there's great heels and villains, that means there must be great faces and heels. And to counter off the heel of the year, here are the nominees for Face of the Year in pro wrestling. Asuka, Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, Drew McIntyre, and Cody Rhodes. The winner of Face of the Year for 2020 from Kicking It Classic with JCD is... Like I'd really give a fucking award to Cody. That's right, Drew McIntyre is your face of the year for 2020, as if there's any doubt with the year he had, from winning the Royal Rumble to being a two-time WWE champion. The only thing that Drew needs is that moment in front of a crowd, and you really hope he's going to get it at some point in 2021. Congratulations, Drew. So now, for the last award of the show, it is the Wrestler of the Year for 2020. And with that, we have the top 20 for the year. And here we go. Starting at number 20, Bayley. Moose, Sasha Banks, MJF, the United States Champion Bobby Lashley. At 15, NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai. At number 14, the NXT North American Champion, Johnny Gargano. Cody Rhodes. Asuka. Darby Allin. At number 10, Chris Jericho, Le Champion. Number 9, AJ Styles. Number 8, the head of the table, but not the head of the list, Roman Reigns. Bray Wyatt. Adam Cole, baby. And rounding out your top 5, the current NXT World Champion, Finn Balor. At number 4, the Architect, Seth Rollins. Number 3, AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega. Number 2, Jon Moxley. And once again, your winner of the 2020 Kicking It Classic with JCD Wrestler of the Year is... That's right. Once again, WWE World Heavyweight Champion Drew McIntyre, your 2020 Kicking It Classic with JCD Wrestler of the Year. He went nonstop when his push was quietly starting in January, building towards the Royal Rumble. Through the Royal Rumble, when Brock Lesnar was dominating that entire match to the point where Drew showed up and, with the help of Ricochet, which everybody forgets, eliminated Brock and then started his descent to WrestleMania. Drew has carried the company single-handed through this pandemic, and you can even make a case that he has helped carry the wrestling world through this pandemic. You can make all your speeches in a ring by yourself with a spotlight on you, but it doesn't hold any weight to what Drew has done from the minute this pandemic hit right until right now. He has not stopped. He has had a small hiccup along the way when he dropped the title to Randy Orton. He has had match after match after match on shows, on Raws, that have all delivered. There is not a Drew McIntyre dud out there in 2020. He's got a major match coming up this Monday with Keith Lee, which should just be phenomenal off the charts. It's probably going to lead to an angle for the Royal Rumble, but the match itself should still be fantastic. Drew McIntyre has done everything this company has asked of him. He would have been all over the place with appearances if he was able to. And the one thing that has also helped Drew is the fact that hopefully WWE learns a lesson and does not rely on Saudi Arabia as much as they did in the last couple of years, because God knows what Drew's reign would have looked like if Saudi Arabia was sprinkled in. But there is this one is, I know we said a few other awards were no doubters, but this one without a doubt. And I don't even think it's close. And that's no disrespect to the year Jon Moxley had, that Kenny Omega had, that Seth Rollins had. even Finn Balor down in NXT. But Drew, from January till today, and today is December 29th, has carried WWE, and like I said, to a degree, pro wrestling, on his back through this pandemic, and hopefully we're coming around the other side of it in 2021. Thank you, Drew, and congratulations on your second award of the night, being the 2020 Kicking It Classic with JCD Wrestler of the Year. From myself here at Kicking It Classic with JCD, I want to thank everybody who listened to us this year. I hope everybody was as safe as possible can be. I hope everybody has the best of New Year. Again, we want to extend our deepest condolences to Brody Lee's family, his friends, his colleagues, the company he's worked for, whether it be AEW, WWE, or whatever independent he ever showed up in. Brody Lee was a great man, a great friend, and a great father. Rest in peace, Brody. We love you. We will miss you. And again, everybody have a happy and safe New Year. And we will see you the week of January 9th, 2021, with our first episode of Season 3, which will revolve around the questionable and I guess mystery around what was going to happen at Bash at the Beach 96. Everybody knows what happened, but I don't know if everybody really knows the story of what the different options were, what was on the table, who was willing maybe to do what, when things were known, and all the negotiating and backstage dealings that had to happen leading up to the moment itself. So we will be looking at that the week of January 9th, 2021. Again, I am your host, John JCD Demicelli. Thank you so much for listening, and have a happy New Year.